So this is literally the 7th time I've tried to make this video. So there is something that doesn't want me to say the things I'm saying. And just so you know, I'm legally blind, so I'm going to have to give you a close-up of my forehead when I do things like this to make sure it's still recording. So forgive me, but this is a video on dark magicians and the forces that come against the light, or those that have pure intentions, because I am light and shadow, and I have some things that are important to talk about, and about how the same wisdom that I carry is also the same wisdom that others carry, except they use it for dark agendas. Now I have the cat trying to get into the room, so if you hear a kitty meowing in the back, that's all that is, because I am not getting up and opening the door right now. And it looks like it's still recording so far, so that's good. So there are people, especially if you are in spiritual communities of any kind, that are very well aware of the same things that those of us that are awakening to the deepest degrees are aware of. And forgive me if I lose track of what I'm saying too, because I literally just woke up not that long ago, and I have to keep looking at the camera, so it kind of takes my attention elsewhere. But there are special people that decide to use their wisdom that they've gained in order to pretty much torture people like myself, or attempt to, especially since we get to this point where we're like, everything's our reflection, which everything is to a certain degree. And some things know that we know that, and we'll do certain things, say certain key phrases, say certain things that will literally catapult overthought and double checking, yep, and make us think that certain things are happening that aren't happening, because they know that we're going to interpret it in certain ways. And the whole thing is about dark magicians is that they understand energy very well, and they understand what is called loosh. And so they will try and trigger certain things like fear or anger or other things, including lust, to try and harvest the energy that we have a very large storehouse of. Checking the thing again. Looks like we're still recording. And they do that just so that they can get your energy, you know. Some have referred to this place as a loosh farm, but a lot of people think that that's happening like behind the scenes without actual characters willing to do these things. But there's a name for dark magicians for a reason, and or chaos magicians. And so, you know, to be the observer that I am, and even the observer of the observer, if you will, if they're doing this to people that aren't aware, they just use basic things like talking about politics, or bringing up arguments, or keeping people really, really busy so they can't take notice to what's really going on behind the scenes, where they're using all of these tactics to try and harvest the energy of the people around them. And they are very unaware that it's going on, and sometimes it gets really overwhelming to witness that, and to not be able to say anything because they don't see the things in the same ways that we do. They don't understand all of the mind manipulations that are going on by conscious beings that know exactly what it is that they're doing. And it's not a pretty thing to watch, honestly. I mean, they are unaware, so a part of me does feel peace in that aspect, that they don't know what's going on, except they're being depleted. They're losing their inspiration, they're losing their peace, and if for no other reason, they're noticing that the energy feels chaotic and weird and distorted, and it's making them not comfortable even on the most sacred lands. And so it gets quite a bit overwhelming. And to know that there are beings that actually choose to do this, like, breaks my heart, which is also another part of it, because sadness is also another way to get energy. So a lot of us will have to, like, numb ourselves out, which I do not want to do under any circumstances. I want to be able to see that these things are happening and feel them at such a level that I connect what's going on and I can share it, so that other reflections of mine will run across this video and they will be aware and they will keep their own energy. You know, like, even without any of my newfound intentional powers, I really feel deeply for those that try and come against people with pure intentions, because they really end up hurting themselves in the long run. I've seen too many times what happens when people come against me, a person that has pure intentions and doesn't want to hurt any living thing or being or myself, and it's not pretty. And it is unfortunate that it's just really their own energy coming back to them. But people like myself are divinely protected. And there are forces in this world and beyond that will protect people like me, because they understand that I'm helping in some way. I'm helping wake up the people to the ways in which they're being used and or manipulated or being messed with. I mean, it's a really sad situation. I think I cry more tears for those that are stuck in the darkness than I do for those that are suffering because of it. Because once they wake up, they'll wake up. And the way it is for me now, and for a lot of people like me, is that we're understanding what's actually taking place. And we have no choice but to make claims to the universe that if there's anybody sending us negative energy or trying to take from us, that they actually be sending it to us rather, instead of taking it for themselves, which really is just them receiving their own energy back, their own karma, their own ripple of energy. And I don't even like doing that. I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want anybody to feel what they've made other people feel. But I have no choice, because I wake up feeling half dead most of the time. You know, and I find my light and I transmute that into gold, and I allow it to help my world excel and watch my dreams come true, which are, of course, based on helping others and awakening humanity, because these kinds of things have been going on for a long time, where people are taken advantage of that don't know what's going on, and people are tortured that do know what's going on. And I don't know about you, but I am done with that. I am not going to be anybody's loosh farm. I am not going to be feeding my anger. You know, it's another thing to a certain degree, and I could feel it when it would be taking place, where it takes us to this place where it could be very easy for people like us to just choose the dark side because they're tired of being messed with, and they just get upset and defensive and start doing the same kinds of things that they're doing and choose a side, because there's those that are of the light that could be pushed to the breaking point, and they feel as though anger is their only option left in order for their own survival. And I'm not doing that. I'm not going to become a toxic feminine that ends up being super empowered and using that power for negative purposes. It's just not in me. And honestly, I would probably check out first. Not like take myself out, but I would just let the whole thing do whatever it does. I would much rather go insane than hurt anyone. But I just don't see that that's going to be what's happening because I'm doing stuff like this. You know, I'm speaking truth. I'm taking the clarity that I gain and I am sharing it with my reflections so that they can see what's actually happening. Because like yesterday, I got this message from this guy on my YouTube comments, which I rarely get comments on my feed. And I can tell that the people he's associating with are messing with him. You know, and here's the thing. When we get messed with, you know what happens? Before we know that there's actually a culprit or culprits that are trying to do this, our brain wants us to think that it's about whatever it is we're trying to heal from. And we start thinking that it's one person or another. I mean, for many years, I kept thinking that it was an ex-love that I had that I knew hung around with the wrong types of folks and would pin it on them, thinking that they were the one creating all of it. And the people that mess with us, those dark magicians, they kind of count on that. They count on you not blaming them and thinking that it's just them or a big group of people or something. You know, they know that our mind will go to whoever we once categorized as a possible enemy. And that's not fair to them either. Because then when you think that, you're sending your energy and your fear and your upset or your dismay towards them. And they didn't ask for that. And sometimes they don't even know that's what's happening behind the scenes. They have no idea that people are using our wisdom to torture us. And so they think that we fucking crazy, which is fine. Because everybody, if they're on this trajectory, is going to wake up to that sooner or later. And I am grateful that that is what's happening. Everyone's going to wake up and see what's really happening, and they're going to be set free. This awakening process isn't going to become the suffering that it once was because certain people believed in their minds that, or in their consciousness, that suffering was the way in which we wake people up. It's not. It really isn't. It is technically what happens when you end up intermingling enough of us together that there are some that will use it to their advantage. It's just the way of things. It breaks my heart that they've undergone so much crap in their lives and they have so much pain in their hearts that they feel like that's the right answer and that that's what we're supposed to be doing, even when it's hurting them and they can't even see that that's what's happening and why their life is falling apart because they're doing things to people that are not cool. And I will speak truth. I will let the people know that are awakening that that's what's happening so that they can be more aware of the changes in the biofield, in the energy, and start realizing that they're being tooled. Meanwhile, as they're tooled, they actually do nothing because there's some people that believe that, oh, the merging of shadow and light means you just let somebody that's going through, quote unquote, their initiation or their awakening, and you just allow them to go through it and face their own demons. Well, what happens when they realize that they'd already done that and now they're just being tortured? It's not going to feel real good to them. But I have compassion for that because I understand that they were not aware. And I pray for their awareness, and so much so that I hope that they get catapulted past the place where they can be manipulated in any way, shape, or form. Not from a state of fear, but from a state of their own known power. And that this kind of thing actually takes place, and they'll know exactly what it looks like from here on out, especially if they live on spiritual lands, because those are powerhouses of energy where people that are dark magicians and light magicians, those of us in the light are not doing it on purpose. It's just a natural consequence to having pure intentions and living in a state of gratitude for life and the sense of awareness that we have. But so that they would just wake up and start seeing what's actually happening, and they'd be able to keep that sacred land sacred rather than it being a tool for the darkness to harvest their energy. And they wouldn't be convinced that everybody at every time is going through this, because, you know, most of these spiritual lands that people live on, they've all come to a certain level of awareness, and they're pretty much like bait to those that are dark magicians, and they'll use all the tactics they can that are very discreet and very twisted, and they'll see what's going on. They won't be able to turn on the people that need them most. They'll see that, oh my gosh, my high intended friend and reflection is being messed with, and we should correct this situation and speak to it directly, and in doing so help the person that is stuck in the land of distorted energy into the light. You know, like, that's really what should be going on. It shouldn't be people just thinking that the awakening is happening and that whoever is full of good intentions should just wake up to the fact that they shouldn't be affected by such things. It should be the other way around, where everybody that's full of light turns to the beings that are trying to use such forms of manipulation and call them out in the most loving way, and say, like, that's not what this place is for. This place is not for us to be fish in a pond that are fed on. It should be one where everybody nourishes one another and helps each other evolve and wake up and ripple out the awakening. And I believe in my heart that that's a possibility. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this. And I know there are many other people that feel the exact same way. So this is the way that I combat the darkness and the distortion, by speaking truth and by putting my pure intention into it in every way I can. And let's just hope that this video recorded. It looked like it was recording the whole time. And forgive me if my videos are quiet. Right now it's probably close to 5 a.m., but I have a lovely roommate that is sleeping, and I try and respect them as much as I can. So, well, I mean, I respect them in all cases, but I just mean, like, by being quiet so I don't wake them up. So, I love you guys, and I hope that this video helps in some way and helps you take your power back, because it is a thing that if you say anybody that's sending me their negative energy will literally, or that's trying to take my energy or send me negative energy, will be in fact sending me blessings and their own energy. And it just common sense anyway. If someone's trying to do excuse me, those kind of things, then they are literally just sending your energy, because they're like superbly focused on you, and it's like, you're like, don't you have anything better to do? But no, they're so afraid that they're going to lose their power that they're actually giving all of it away by trying to hurt people and create chaos in people's lives. And if you look around, you can see that those that are doing that are experiencing that sort of outcome, because it's all about the intentions. And all that is and have ever existed can see when there are people that have pure intentions, and they can see otherwise as well. So I send you guys my love. Have a good day.